What's up, baby? How are you guys?
What's up, Joey Coco? I don't know. Have we ever met, Joey? Have we ever met?
Yes. We
Oh,
met.
my bad.
You were very nice to me. You had a couple cocktails in you. And it was the night that you did something that nobody else has done in the octagon. Everybody gets knocked out in the octagon, and they win by decisions. You actually smacked Mayhem Miller so many times, you put him into that fucking realm of craziness. You understand me? It was after the Mayhem Miller fight. We're talking about Joey karate videos. It was right before you moved to Orange County with your family.
That's right. No, I remember. I've just felt like I've known you for a long time. Obviously, seen you work around for a long time. We're big fans here, buddy. Big fans. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of yours. Let me tell you something. I put in 2 bets last year. One, when Diaz fought Conor the first time, because he flinched. And 2, when you fought Luke Rockhold. Those were the 2 bets I put in last year. Because I had a funny fucking feeling he wasn't taking you seriously. And you don't fuck around. You had just come off the Mayhem thing. You know what I'm saying? Mayhem's getting surrounded by cops beating up Asian women. So,
did you? Who did you bet on in the Diaz McGregor in the first one?
The first one, I wasn't gonna touch it, but I thought about jiu-jitsu, and I thought about how he had flinched at the weigh-in. And I was doing a show that night, and after I got off stage, I went. And I bet like 300 or 400, and then I went back to my room, and at like 1, I called my wife, and I told her to wire me more money. She's like, "Why the fuck do you need money at 1 in the morning in Las Vegas?" I go, "I'll show you tomorrow," and I bet the rest of it on Diaz. My luck's out.
Nice.
Joey, dude, so happy to have you on the show, man. And we've talked MMA when I've been out in California before, and you're a real deal fan, man. That's the thing. Like, if you guys don't know, Joey's not like one of these pretenders. Joey loves the sport of MMA. How'd you end up getting into UFC originally? Was it through Rogan and through that connection?
Those guys would sit around and talk shit for hours, and I had turned it on once, and I saw Tank Abbott with a fucking like a jungle suit on. I was like, I don't need this in my life. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't need this nonsense in my life. But then one night I was, switching, and I saw Forrest against whatever. And then that was interesting. And then I watched Anderson Silva's debut against Chris Leben. And it was out of this fucking world. Like, that's what I thought MMA was. Not a guy that looked like me with a wrestling suit on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No disrespect to Tank Abbott, but I thought it was just bar guys fighting at first in the UFC. I hadn't really seen the beauty of it,
Yeah, and
once after that, I became a fan.
And you since started practicing BJJ, correct?
Well, this is what pissed me off. That all of a sudden this new sport gets evolved, and it's evolving, and you have these sports writers, and nothing. Listen, man, I lived in New York in '94. My roommate was one of those sports radio fucking dudes that would listen to the sports radio, and they call in and they argue. And these motherfuckers have never thrown a softball. You understand me?
Yeah.
So for you to sit there and talk about something and not even know some of the mechanics of it. I went to, when I came from Cuba, I got beat up with a lunchbox in Central Park, and my mom put me at karate school right on 90th Street there on West End. And, I stayed there till I was a purple belt, and I moved to Jersey, and I joined Gush and Rue Karate, and I stayed there till I was like a fucking brown belt. Then I got into drugs and all that shit, and I quit karate, man, and my whole life changed. Like, my life went to shit. So when I got back into comedy, I started fucking around with Tang Sudo and stuff, little by little. And then over the years, I got really heavy because of the sleep apnea. I got sick, and then to lose the weight, I was going to kickbox. But I was getting my ass kicked in kickboxing by these kids that would get dressed up like MMA fighters. And they were really like firemen on the weekends. Like, they would do their hair and put cologne on and put, like, fucking real gear on. I thought they were UFC fighters.
Yeah.
And one day I said, you know what? I'm sick and tired of throwing kicks and punches. And there was a jiu-jitsu school by my house. I didn't say nothing to nobody. I didn't tell Eddie Bravo. I didn't say nothing to nobody. I took a private, and I almost died. I couldn't believe how bad I was on my back. And then I was having the baby, and I go, what if I get into a beef with somebody and I get knocked on my back? I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm going to go into panic mode. So that made me keep going to jiu-jitsu. And let me tell you something, I'm a blue belt now, but I'm still fucking terrible. I'm fucking terrible, man. But I keep going. You know, when I got into comedy, nobody's fucking funny. But if you keep showing up like 6 or 7 years in, it just clicks one day.
Yeah, you figure out how to be funny.
So no matter if I'm 54, I have goals. Like I try to go 3 times a week. And I go to Alberto Crane. I've known Alberto since I shot the longest yard in Mexico in 95. He's right down the block from me. And I go to a lunchtime class. And a bunch of young kids beat the fuck out of me. But you know what, man? I'm better on my back now.
Yeah.
At least I can breathe and, you know, close the fucking distance and try to sweep you. I'm not just fucking laying there panicking, you know.
We were debating this earlier in the show because you mentioned you being Cuban, and Yoel Romero, who is looking like it's going to be Michael Bisping's next opponent, is also Cuban. And Michael Bisping went to go tweet at Yoel, why don't you go roll me a cigar? Then his management stopped him and said, no, you can't say that. That's highly offensive to Cuban people. And I don't think it is. But now you're Cuban, you're here on the show. So is that considered offensive? If somebody said, go roll me a cigar, could that be construed as racist?
That's like me telling Michael Bisping to go get me a cup of tea.
That's not bad.
You know what I'm saying? That ain't fucking racist. What the fuck is wrong with people? Me and Michael are having an argument. We're talking football and soccer. And I go, you don't know what you're talking about. Go get me a cup of tea. Only a fucking Gentile will get you know what I'm saying?
Well, this is what I said. This is what I said to my manager yesterday. I went back and forth. Because he said, oh, what are you going to say back to him? I said, I'm just going to say, listen, you're my little bitch. Go and roll me a cigar. And he was like, dude, you can't say that. You can't. And then he sent me like all these links to like cigar rolling in Cuba. I said, no, I know they roll cigars in Cuba. And he said, yeah, but it was a slave trade. And you're going to offend every Cuban out there if you say that. I was like, okay, all right. Well, I don't want to offend all fucking Cubans. So I didn't send it. But okay, that's good to know. Thank you, Joey.
Is that fight on the card, Michael Bisping? Is it official?
It's not official. You know, for a while there was talk of GSP and there was talk of some other people. And obviously he's trying to get that fight, and I respect that. He's trying to get a shot at the title, and that's what everybody wants to do. I'm just trying to make as much money as I can. But it's looking like that probably is going to be the next fight. I was just saying before on air, it's probably going to be May 13th, maybe, because I just had knee surgery. But I would say May 13th I'll be ready. And unless, you know, miraculously the UFC contacted me and said, we want you to fight GSP, or a big fight with Anderson Silva, or something like that that's going to do big pay-per-view numbers, it's looking like that will be my next fight, yeah.
I know you guys have been going back and forth. The fucking GoFundMe page was as crazy as I've ever seen in my life. But you know what? This is part of it now. He's having fun. It's not like it's personal. You know, it's not like he's talking about your wife or English people.
No, exactly.
He's having a good time. Yeah, no, he's just having a good time. So.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Joey? You absolutely hit the nail on the head, because with things like this, you can talk shit all day long. You can say whatever you want about me, talk about my fighting, talk about this. You can do a GoFundMe, and I don't get offended at any of it. And because at the end of the day, we're going to fight. You know what I'm saying? But as you just said there, don't talk about my wife, don't talk about my children. And that's pretty much it. Everything else, you know, is you know, open season. Just leave my wife and kids out of it, and we're good.
You know, to get a good fight now, I mean, everybody's learning a little bit from Conor McGregor, from Mickey Gall. To, you know, when you fight now and you win a fight, you got to call your next fucking guy out. You got to plant seeds now. It's a different fucking game now, you know. So it's going to be a great fight. You know, you're a great fucking fighter. Yoel's just a fucking muscle machine, you know.
Yep.
How he got those muscles, he ate Cuban food. And,
he's on the horse meat.
You know, I was thinking about you, and you know, until 5 years ago or 6 years ago, when Osada really got involved, maybe 4 years ago. I mean, Mike, 80% of the people you fought were on fucking juice.
Yeah, 100%. You know, the thing was, I was totally ignorant, and I really didn't believe that people were doing that. I didn't. I had no idea. But you're right. I mean, as we're finding out now, more time and time again, they are, or
Michael,
they were.
It's not that you didn't want to, but it's not that you didn't want to believe. The kind of person that you are, you wouldn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Like you
well,
wouldn't
no, I
even
appreciate
think
that, Joey.
You know what I'm saying? I just know the type of person. I see how personal you take it, and
Thank you.
You're not from that cut. You know, I grew up around guys that would shoot D-ball and snort coke at the same time.
Yeah.
I never saw anything like that in my life. The kid would snort coke and his mother would shoot him with D-ball at the same time.
Wow.
Do you know what, man? Oh, it's hysterical. And his mom shot him. He's still alive. He lives in Pennsylvania now. But the point of the story is, I was surrounded with all that as a kid. And I never figured out what the big thing was about doing steroids and going to a bar down the shore. If I'm not making 6 figures or 8 figures, fucking getting beat up or tackling motherfuckers, I would never do something like that. Even though I did coke and fucking Quaaludes and I ate acid for years, you know, it's against my cut to do it, like to juice.
Joe,
yeah, for sure. No. Yeah, no, it's against your cut to juice, but I think what you're talking about there, like going out there, getting in fights and whatnot, I think that's just a juvenile thing. That's just when people are kids, you know, when they're fucking in their early teens or late teens, early 20s, they go out, they have a drink, they get into fights, you know, but when this is professional sports, you know, I'm just not about that.
It's also something you got something to prove. I mean, I find this all the time. This is why I want to get my kid into martial arts. He's 4 now. It's like, you know, how many times throughout my childhood and teenage years did I maybe not get into a fist fight, or I was scared and you know, maybe back down or whatever, and then I have to question my manhood all throughout my life constantly. It's this constant fear, and I think when you kind of grow up with a little bit more security, you don't need to prove yourself constantly.
Well, if you've ever look at Michael Bisping. There's very few fighters that you're going to meet that you're going to say you don't like. Very few fighters. The reason why Michael Bisping has a great sense of humor, even when he was torturing Anderson Silva with the steroids and shit, you have a great sense of humor. And part of that sense of humor is your confidence in that department. The first time I met BJ Penn, I kept looking at him going, "You want to go, motherfucker?" Like as a joke. And he was giggling the whole time. Because he was, you know what I'm saying? Like that's not, you know, when I first...
What was your problem with BJ Penn?
I had no problem with BJ Penn. We were out one night and he was talking, and every couple minutes I'd just look at him and go, "Whenever you're ready, I'll fuck you up." He was just giggling. Where somebody else
funny.
Would go, "Bro, stop that shit. I'm a man." You know, he was giggling.
Yeah.
You know, Kenny Florian, I used to torture him at the fights. Put in Kenny Florian. Finish him. Because Kenny used to always talk about finishing opponents.
Yeah, that's right.
You got to finish your opponent. So I would always go to fights and go, "Put in Kenny Florian." You know, and that's how I met Kenny. These guys, very seldom are they pricks. Very seldom, because that part of that department is all fucking covered in. They have no insecurities in that department.
Yeah, exactly. You hit the nail on the head. And for the most part, yeah, you're right. I mean, most fighters are pretty relaxed guys because, as you say, they don't need to prove themselves. They're not out there trying to prove to girls or to other guys that they're a tough guy. They haven't got to do that. Of course, not everybody's going to like everybody. And the majority of people that I've even had fallouts with over the years, if I met them under different circumstances, then there's a good chance that we could have been friends. You know what I mean? It's just the fact that we're going to fight each other, that we're going to talk shit. You know what I'm saying? But if we met each other under a different circumstance, there's a very good possibility that we could have been friends.
Yeah, no, it's there's something about that when you meet fighters, how nice they are. Whether at the airport, you know, they're self-confident in that department. So they don't really need to go.
I noticed a parallel between comedians and fighters as well. There's definitely a level of appreciation that comedians have, fighters have, because I interview fighters, right? And I've been interviewed as a comedian, and it's like, it's this weird almost like subsect of Hollywood where it's not really Hollywood. So every time you talk to a fighter or you talk to a comic, they're just so appreciative that somebody wants to hear their story, you know?
Yeah.
We're talking about your story. We're talking about your story, Joey. So you got a special coming up. Tell the people what's going on, because I don't know. Lewis said you got a special that you're on.
Me neither.
So come on, give us the big plug. That's the only reason you're on this shitty show. Let's be honest.
No. I wanted to talk to you guys. Lewis is a good guy.
No, I know. I know. I'm kidding.
Lewis was one of the only people that came on the podcast and fucking was a man. He ate 8 stars. and walked out of there. I don't know. He made his flight the next morning.
It was crazy. The only thing I had when I went to bed that night after I had 800 milligrams of the Stars of Death from Joey Diaz was, you know, when you trip on mushrooms, you get a little bit of like the whispers, like when you go to sleep, like you just hear. That's what I got. Like when I laid my head down, I just heard a little whispering, and I was like, all right, is there somebody in the room with me? No, I'm all good. But that was quite the experience going on Joey's podcast. Bisping, that's what you got to do. You guys got to get together and you got to go deep with Joey Diaz and have some Stars of Death. Get you talking about your
oh my God.
Get you talking about your youth, start crying, talking about your dad.
That's the last thing I need. Jesus Christ. That is the last thing I need to do. I mean, I'll go on the podcast, but just the name alone, Stars of Death, scares me to death because I talk fucking out of my ass at the best of times. The last thing I need is something called Stars of Death. Accentuated.
But Joey, your special is called Socially Unacceptable. It's on CISO. I watched it. It's hysterical. I mean, you're without a doubt. And if you haven't seen Joey Diaz, you got to check him out live if you're in the California area because he's one of the funniest comics. Period. I've never seen you not murder. Talk to me just a little bit about the CISO platform because it's a little bit different. People don't realize what CISO even is.
I've never even heard of CISO.
It's a division of NBC. It's like a Netflix that NBC wanted to compete. So they started this comedy channel with old SNLs and all the way to day one with when George Carlin was the host. I mean, they have all these comedy. They're going after the comedy streaming service. And when it came time to shoot a special, it was either between, I had a couple of different options. And I could have been a small fish on a big island on Netflix, or I could have been like fucking on Bellator and been huge, you know what I'm saying? So I went to Bellator to make a splash like the old school, and then hopefully I'll work myself up to the big forum,
Yeah, and dude, people love it. The special in general, and a lot of people have seen it. CISO is a great platform. If you guys are fans of myself or the other guys that we're kind of all linked up with, Big J's crowd work show, What Your Fucking Deal is on that platform as well. I've done that. They have a lot of original programming as well. They have a show called $1 Billion Properties, which is absolutely hysterical.
Absolutely hysterical.
But this is the future, right? Here's the deal, right? Even as we're talking on the airwaves right now, there's a measurable percentage of people that are going to listen to this interview on demand when they want, on their cell phone, on their app,
Yeah.
It's all going to kind of blend together. 5 years from now, this is why I think NBC is making this play, is they say, hey, you know what? We know for a fact streaming services are going to be the norm across the board a few years from now. What type of response have you gotten from the fans on the platform? It's
been great. It really has. And at first I was a little hesitant, but a friend of mine said, listen, when they want to watch you, they'll hunt you down.
Yeah.
They'll hunt you down wherever you are if they really want to watch a special. So it all worked out. We're putting the CD on iTunes tomorrow. That's the thing. We're putting the CD on iTunes.
Oh, and they gave you the CD as well.
So forgive my ignorance. Forgive my ignorance, and I'm not trying to be, diminishing or anything like that. So if I wanted to find CISO, which I do, I want to check it out. It sounds very, very funny. How would I find that tonight? Could I go to my smart TV and search the app called CISO? Is that how I do that?
CISOTV.com.
Oh, you go to a website. TV. Okay, got it.
Yeah. You register, you put Joey in, and you get 2 free months.
Okay.
And you watch whatever the hell you want on there. The special Doug Stanhope's on there. Laurie Kilmartin's on there.
Laurie's brilliant, dude. Laurie's one of the funniest comics. She's so funny. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the platform itself is great. And Joey, I got to tell you another thing, dude. Dude, I got a Tushy. Tushy's just started sponsoring my other podcast, but I first heard about Tushy on your show. Okay, I was telling Bisping, because he's from Europe and he doesn't have a bidet, and he calls it a bidet or something.
We call it a bidet. Now, if you go to France, if you go to the continent, they're in every bathroom. I remember we used to go there as kids on school holidays and think it was hilarious. But in England, we don't have bidets, or bidet, as you like to call them.
What part of England you from, Mike?
Manchester, northwest.
How far from Birmingham?
Oh, Birmingham is like 2-hour drive.
Beautiful.
Yeah, you been to Birmingham?
I want to go. I've never been nowhere. I got no passport. The Cubans took it from me. But I'm going to make a fucking comeback, and I'm going to Manchester.
Why do you ask about Birmingham, though? Just to get a
Black
reference.
Sabbath is from. That's
That's
where
the
my
what?
favorite bands are from. Black Sabbath and
Oh,
Judas
yeah,
Priest.
no, that's right. That's right. Ozzy Osbourne's from
Both
Birmingham. Yeah, that's right.
I wanted to see what it was like. I heard it's like a fucking slum.
It is these days. I mean, you know, don't get me wrong. I mean, they call Birmingham England's second city. But yeah, no, it is. It's not exactly, I don't know. I wouldn't go. Let's just put it like that. No offense to anybody from Birmingham that's listening. You know what I mean? There's some very, very nice people. The people from Birmingham are awesome. But I think it's fair to say that you wouldn't want to spend an air ticket to go and visit Birmingham unless you had family there.
Fair enough.
So, Joe, look, man, I'm going to let you get out of here in just a second here, man. But once again, go check out CSOTV.com. Check out Joey's special, which is called Socially Unacceptable. And also the podcast, you know, I'm telling you right now, if you want to just listen to hours and hours and hours and hours of free, hilarious content, Joey Diaz's Church of What's Happening Now. My brother, obviously, when I get back out to LA, I want to come out and do it with you again, but I got to give you so much props, dude. I get lost on journeys on your YouTube channel, and I just watch your shows. It's one of the best podcasts out there. It really is.
Well, thank you for coming on there. You know I love you guys with all my heart. Michael Bisping, give him hell in May, brother.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Thanks for joining us, Joey. And
but you know
always
what,
been a
bro?
big fan, by the way. Big fan.
Go for some of the money fights first. You got mouths to feed. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, dude.
All these
Thank you very
motherfuckers
much.
For these money fights. Fuck that. Hold out.
So, Joey, real fast before you go. So here's the thing. I've been getting so much fucking hate online because I said, fuck it. GSP wants to fight me. I was talking to GSP on Sunday. He said his deal is almost done. Dana offered me the fight with GSP last October, but they couldn't get the deal done. Now the deal's almost done. They're almost there. They've agreed on some shit. But everybody's saying, no, this is ridiculous. Bisping should fight Romero. And I'm like, listen, I'll fight Romero, but I want to take the big money fight first. I don't see what the fucking problem with that is.
No, you got to feed your family, man.
Yeah.
20 years from now, when you're walking with a limp, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No,
that's
exactly.
When you're thinking about, that's when you're thinking about nobody's going to be there for you. So you got to cover your own ass. You got mouths to feed, brother.
Exactly. No, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're
but
like a credit card company. You're just juicing these motherfuckers 2% a month.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I love you guys. Have a great day. Thank you for having me on. Stay black and beautiful.
All right, Joey. Thank you, brother.
All right, Joey. Later, buddy.
He's the man.
Yeah, there he is, Joey Diaz. He's right. You know, 20 years time when I'm walking with a fucking limp. Yeah, there you go. GSP, made the call. Let's go.
I love how within a segment you'll go back and forth from Romero and GSP.
Yeah, but he's absolutely right. So Mr. Poopy Pants can get to the back of the line. Let me beat up GSP, and then I'll do. I'll do shit for brains.
You just did an exclusive announcement on the show today saying May 13th Romero.
I said failing GSP coming forward.
All right,
failing GSP coming forward, and I feel like GSP's going to come forward. Then Shit for Brains can get it next.
All right, let's take a break. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we got a couple callers on the line. We have the final countdown. We have the Reddit Rush. We have a lot more to talk about. It's the countdown. Be right back.